Ooh, the white gloves. I think I'll just take stuff out because the whole box is annoying. It's too big for my space here. So I think this was around $450 worth of stuff. And I think 220 of it, or no, 120 was the oil kit. So I got finger cots, SPM, SPL. I got finger cots in medium and large because I'm not sure which one. I think I can wear either, but one's going to be more comfortable and one's going to be more snug fitting, whatever. Oh, I also want just to explain. So I got these two case holders. And those are because I've been using these Chinese case holders. And the Chinese case holders are not that great. The plastic is kind of round. And I'm assuming these are going to be better. This is 4039, which is the metal one, and 4039P. And then I think I have another one coming that's larger that I bought from China also, but it's metal, and I'm hoping that that'll be better for a larger movement, like a pocket watch. Oh, and then I needed a staking tool, and I was like, oh, that one's cheap. And in the picture, I didn't realize it's tiny, but it has a lot of holes, and even though it's tiny, I think it's going to be fine for what I need it for. It actually has more options than the larger ones in terms of the actual number of holes and hole sizes. So staking tool, an example of something that I needed this for was putting the cannon pinion on the I guess it's like the hour hand gear or whatever gear that on the ETA 2472, the cannon pinion actually attaches to this gear in a weird way. So there's some videos about that. I was having trouble, so I used an old base plate for a movement that just had some holes in it, and I realized I need a staking block. Hand removers, that's because I have Chinese hand removers, which if you want to save money, these are also fine. I've also read, people have said, and I tried it a little bit, just to, these are like little scoops. This is Bergeon 30027. I read in some other forums that these are good ones in general. And then the Chinese version is just, the steel is just, pressed and then rhodium plated or whatever. But you can sand it down if you need to make it more precise. So this is debatable. I just think taking hands off is such a critical thing. I wanted to try to get better at it and try not to have the excuse to blame the tools for it. Some more Rodico, some skewers or wood sticks. These are, I think, 2.5 millimeter or 3 millimeter. Maybe that's what the 30 means. This is a leather buff. I think it's for cleaning jewels. Yeah, like I realized because I got the oil stuff, I'm going to need to buff the jewels, some of the ones that come out. This is like a rod just a plastic rod for holding something down, like a plate down while you put a screw in so a spring doesn't pop up or whatever. This is a box for my tweezers because I have some good Bergeon and Dumont tweezers, but I didn't have a way to store them, so I need to take a little bit better care of them. Mobius oil kit, a proper case cushion. I've been using this one, Chinese, which is fine, but just thought I'd get a Bergeon. They're not that expensive. A green pad, so that's instead of the gray pad, I can use a green pad. B-dip, which is for cleaning the palette fork and the palette, the palette fork and the assembly with the hairspring on it. Because the bottom of the gear, the hairspring gear has the impulse jewel, I think. Anyway, any jewel that's attached with lacquer, you need to use a special cleaner because isopropyl alcohol will dissolve the lacquer that holds those jewels on. And this was a holder for something else, but I'm going to use it for screwdrivers because it was cheap, and the screwdriver I couldn't find a screwdriver holder by itself, or it was expensive. Okay, so that's that. The main thing is the oil kit, and I'm not going to go into that much more detail because those details will come out in the when I actually work with these things. And then there were some things I bought from cousins because they were cheaper. So we'll do the cousins with the pricing first. But basically the cousins things were fix-a-drop, which is I think it's before you oil the palette gear, you use fix-a-drop to keep the oil from spreading. So this has a little, I think this has, yeah, it has like this big cap because inside there's a basket, so you actually place the palette fork gear, whatever it's called, in here. I'm going to get better at these names and things. So I got that. I got a oiler dispenser, again, because it was much cheaper, I believe, than the Bergeon option. And then I got a screwdriver sharpening stone and some pithwood buttons, which are for cleaning the tips. I think, I'm not sure what these are for, but they look like inside here you have, I think this is a little bit of pithwood. Maybe not. Maybe that's just styrofoam. No, this is much harder. Anyway, I think you can do kind of little staking things and stuff with that. It's just like a material that can be, we'll figure out what to do with it. Okay, so then I just want to talk about price for a second. The oil stand was 24 pounds. The pithwood buttons were £2.60. The sharpening stone was £10.95. I got like almost enough zoom here. Oh, there's this watch dial box too. I got this because I didn't find this in Bergeon's inventory. They probably have something, but this is basically a dial box. So when you take a dial off, you can stick it in there to protect it. Because I think it's also very important to protect the dial. And then the fix-a-drop was 23 pounds and shipping was 10 pounds. Okay, so that's that stuff. And then that was the stuff I bought from Cousins UK. And then the Bergeon prices, of course this is horizontal, so it's not going to fit very well in the screen here. Okay, so that's that. Now the next thing is the this guy, and I think I'm going to change this camera. And this camera. This camera. So now we're going to gotta relax a little bit. Take this is a oh, there's something else I wanted to say, which is so far I've purchased a lot of inexpensive tools which are in the video that I linked at the beginning of like everything I know about watchmaking in 5 minutes or something. It's actually like a 30-minute video, but that video talked about all the tools I had prior to these things I got. The other major purchases were the timegrapher and the microscope. So the timegrapher was something like 150 or 190 US dollars or something like that from AliExpress in China. And the microscope was 500, but it was also from AliExpress, Eakin's AliExpress. But the microscope includes a ring light and a camera, which a lot of people wouldn't need. So I think the microscope, you can get it for $350 if you just want a binocular microscope without the big boom arm, maybe even less. So it seems to me that like the cost of being pretty well set up is around $1,000, and including a microscope and a timegrapher and the oils and the basic tools. So if you're trying to figure out a budget to get started with watchmaking, I would say 1,000, maybe 1,500 US dollars. And so the timegrapher I think is interesting because like if I'm going to take apart this watch, there's an additional use I thought of for it, which is just check the watch before you do it, and then check it again after you do it, because I'm gonna try not to touch the movement. But if I check it after I work on it and it's running differently, then I know I did something wrong. Perhaps I damaged the movement, or perhaps I installed it in the case wrong, or the hands are on wrong, or something like that. So this right now is in this position. It's running 40 seconds per minute slow. Amplitude is 223. The beat error is 2.2. You can check it at a different angle. You can already see from the line on the graph that it's going to tell you it's losing less. So now it's only losing 33 seconds per day. And the other thing is, I think most watches can be regulated. I think this one can. I don't remember looking at that specifically, but now in this position, the beat error is a little bit worse, but it's actually going to switch to not losing any time per day, or even gaining, it looks like. So now it's plus 11. So that's why, like, when they adjust a watch, they say adjust it to 5 positions, because you have to kind of take an average of all these different positions and then adjust it to something. So, like, if you just looked at the plus 11, you would slow it down. But if you look at all the minus 40 and minus 30 positions, you go like, oh, you know what? I'm going to leave it at plus 11 in this position because it's going to be running too slow if I slow it down in the other positions. Anyway, that just gives me an idea of the amplitude and the beat error prior to opening this up. Oh, so just before I do this, this is the watch. I cleaned the outside of the case. It was pretty oxidized, I guess you would say, on the outside, particularly because it has these brass parts, the crown and the back ring. You can see actually it's adjusted to run fast. It's got the adjustment is all the way in the plus on the plus side, and we know it's mostly running slow, so it kind of makes sense that somebody tried to speed it up because it's running too slow, and that could be because it's old, and or it could be because it's dirty, or both. some friction. This is a Swiss Army knife that I found on the roadside in Lauterbrunnen, and somebody had made it dull. I think I actually damaged the tip of this blade, but anyway, somebody took a grinder to it and made it into a good watch case opening. I stuck my head in the shot. So I popped this off before the video, so I know that it's pretty loose on there. Not loose, but it's not like you have to totally fight with it. So it's pretty dirty in there. And then the thing that's curious about this is, I gotta get the microscope going. How that transparent part works is really unusual and interesting to me. So let's try to get this out here. I'm just trying to check the camera, so yeah, like this camera needs to be adjusted. I can also zoom in on this one. Okay, so now we got to get the microscope into the right position. And focused. So the thing that's unusual about this, and also problematic, is this transparent part is plastic, and then it's had some kind of fake copper plating applied to it. And that copper plating has come off. So that's also why I didn't want to open it up, because I think it's going to be very hard to do anything other than flake off more of that fake copper plating, if I'm correct about what that is. But anyway, this is also kind of what I'm worried about, is like how dirty this is. I'll go even closer. And there's also these two little specks here in the center of the frame, and then on the opposite side. I saw these before opening it. These are like little dings in the plastic from the case screws. It's from this screw. And then the screw on the other side. Those two screw heads dinged the crystal that covers the back of the movement there. And that seems like it's just a design flaw. But, oh, and then the other thing is like, that's probably old fingerprint that's causing the corrosion on the nameplate there. And no, that's not the main plate. Those are the bridge plates. But okay, I don't know really what to do next. Stop talking, I guess. I want to look at the plastic, It's hard to, because it's transparent, it's really hard to see what's going on there. I think you can see here, it's actually a solid chunk. And then it's hard to tell. I think that the movement is just in that plastic chunk. But I'm going to have to go wider to kind of... let me actually look at this. Okay, well, one thing I can do is remove the stem and see if that frees up the movement. And then I'm just wondering about those two screws. The case holder screws, what are they doing exactly? So that's this screw and this screw. They hold it. The normal thing is they're holding it in the back and the dial is holding it in the front. But that would be if the whole movement comes out the front with the dial. But it can also allow loosening, if I remove the stem and the crown, which I'll do by loosening the screw here, then I might be able to take out the whole insert that is the transparent insert that's holding it. And then to remove the movement from that insert, I would remove these two screws, the case screws, and that would allow the movement and the dial to come out of the front of essentially this transparent holding ring. I'm getting a little bit nervous about doing this now again. I have all the cleaner and everything ready to go, but it's just I don't know what the point is, except for to remove a little bit more dirt, and I'm not even sure this is dirt. Maybe I should just clean this thing first. I'm getting too precious about this. Let's just proceed. I can't, like, I just told you how much money I spent on these tools, and then to be afraid to open a 29-euro watch is kind of crazy. That's kind of loose already. Oh, there's something else that's weird about this crown is it's spring-loaded. That makes me nervous too. You pull it out to set it. Ugh, okay, well, came out. It's very dirty. Just take a look at that. Okay, I'll set that aside. And now the question is, maybe if I flop this over, it'll just drop out. Maybe not. So now I'm going to see if I can pry this up. See, I don't see any point in releasing these screws because that's gonna somehow this needs to come out. I'm gonna try to focus on the edge of this. I could take it off the case cushion to get the height I need. See, I actually did pull up on the crown a little bit before I removed it. And it didn't seem to want to give. So that's like, I don't think... Maybe that whole... I don't know. It has to be two pieces. The crystal in front. Because there's a plastic transparent part. And then there's the crystal, whatever the actual crystal in the front. There's no bezel. I could try to pop the crystal out by pushing, but I don't know if that's the way that crystal would come out. Now I'm just looking at this a little bit and thinking about putting it back together again. It's frustrating, like, no matter how much magnification I have, I feel like I should be able to see what's going on there. Oh, that's interesting. Right there you can see some of that plastic or some of that metal plating. See, there's like a copper plate that's peeling. It looks a little bit gold in the camera. Basically peeling, there's like a flap there. And this is the problem with like, but that's actually, that appears to be a base metal. It's like peeling off the inside of the, it's like they plated the inside of the metal case. And there's also this gap right there. Oh, there's a gear under there. That's crazy. So there's a gear that stuck out of that movement. So they designed the plastic to not touch that gear. I think I have to just put this back together. Let's just do this. This is like, I'm going to destroy it if I dig into that, but I do have I'm going to try cleaning with ultrasonic the back and the crown and stem. And let's see what happens. I don't think that this will destroy it. Going to put the watch aside. And then I'm going to set this on, this has two power settings, 30 or 50 watts. So I'm going to set it for 30, and then 2 is 2 minutes. It'll run and turn off by itself. And I think you'll see a lot of dirt come off this when I start it, but let's see. Yeah. I'm going to try it at this higher power setting, because I don't think anything's going to be damaged by this. I think it's working. Oh, now the crystal wants to come out. Ugh. Okay, so that's... Now I can properly clean under there. Let me see if I can pop this back in. Okay, that's cool. So it pops in and out without a crystal press, which also means it's not very it's not watertight. Let's see what. Okay, so now I'm curious if I can clean that with some Cape Cod. What a mess that stuff is. It's all over my fingers now. What I'm wondering is if I can get this corrosion or oxidation out of the inside of this ring now. Because it'll look better when I put the crystal back in there if there's no... There's kind of, there's like a groove in there, so it helps to get my fingernail actually in there. Push it down in that groove, because that's where the final black oxidation is. I think I'm also taking off that color, the copper color, yeah. So that's a plating. How would they do that though? It's fun to think about the history of these watchmakers and the processes that they came up with, and then how they. I mean, it's still going on today. It's just different processes, but the smaller manufacturers, they each develop a technique or a skill, and then they would do that for other people if they wanted to do it, or try to keep it to themselves if it was something special that gave them a unique position. Like this Bermi, the whole transparency thing, it's like an early gimmick. Maybe other people were doing it too, but and then even though it's plastic and to be transparent, they wanted some metallic look so it didn't look cheap. So then they figured out how to apply that copper plate onto the plastic. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to return this to, I'm just going to reassemble it. Check it on the timegrapher. Should use my finger cots, my new finger cots, to do this. But oh, one other thing about this that I think I find really fascinating is like I wouldn't say nervous like a nervous wreck, but it concerns me, even though this thing has basically no monetary value because of its age. It concerns me that I might do something wrong or damage it or whatever. But it's really funny to think about it, like the people who do this kind of thing with Patek Philippe vintage watches or that kind of thing. I've never really been that interested in Patek Philippe and the museum. There's a museum I've never been to in Geneva that, it's supposed to be so amazing. Millions and millions of dollars worth of these super old watches and everything. I don't really care about that, but but this process of working with watches makes me kind of curious. It just seems like when you see the watchmakers like the Patek in a video or whatever, you're just like, come on, like the whole thing just seems so dumb, like so much. It's just a watch, but if it's a priceless thing, you would start feeling very responsible. Somehow the money thing does mean something. I don't know. Okay, so now the crown. This is something I'm worried about because this is a strange crown. It really was spring-loaded before. So to wind, you just turn it, but if you want to set it, you had to pull it out and hold it. Starting to feel a little bit more like it did before. Yeah. So see, when you want to set it, you have to hold it. As soon as you let go, it goes back to winding. It actually, something was pulling that in. And I've never seen that on a movement before. Okay, so let's try. Here's a good thing. I removed the dirt from this. I wasted 40 minutes of my life and yours if you watched it. Now I'm going to snap this back on. Now everything feels loose. Mostly it's the crystal in the crystal is rotating in the ring here. But for now it's not going to fall out. Oh, I need to zoom. That's Swiss flag. I did that on purpose because of the Bergeon. Okay, so then what I said was, so all I managed to do in the freaking almost an hour was clean the back crystal and the back bezel. Okay, so what we want to do is look at it on here again. I'm just laughing because it was like 44, minus 44 and 120 something the amplitude. Now it's like minus 72. I'm just going to play with it a little bit. What time is it? 7:30. It's fully wound. It's not an automatic anyway, but I just want to see. Okay, the amplitude came up a little bit with the wind. Oh, minus 81. So the only thing I really did to the movement was I took the stem out, cleaned it, and put it back in. That, you know, I didn't touch the movement. Oh, we can, well, let's test it in this other position where it was, this position, I remember because I was thinking it's crowned up, but let's see. Looks like it's headed back towards, not nearly as bad in that position. Minus 17. I could also try to adjust it more towards the plus. What else can this do? Oh boy, it's diving. This is like minus 100. That's a kind of normal position, like walking around with your arm dangling down like that. Just keeps getting worse. Okay, so this is the original position. So now it's back to like minus 59. Let's do one more average. Amplitude's 204, minus 65, 59, 65. I think it's cool. I don't think I harmed it. I think I learned a little bit more. Give me something to think about before I go back in and perhaps try to do what I was going to do. Maybe I should stop by with a hobby shop first and ask. They won't know. Does anybody have an opinion on this weird clear plastic copper plating? Like, how the hell was that done? I think it's like I think it's some kind of complicated process. Okay. That's it for now. It's been an hour and a half. Managed to do a little polishing of a bezel and a crystal. And thanks a lot if you watch this. See you on the next one.